It's spring on the homestead, which means it's time to clean out the chicken coop, which also means it's time to make compost. First thing we got to do is get all our ingredients together. So why don't you come along with us on the journey as we put it all together. We're down here at the ocean today because in Maine this is one of our largest resources. And for us, probably one of the unsung heroes, or one of the things we utilize the most in our garden as far as a resource, is seaweed. We use it in a couple of different ways. One, it can be spread just on the garden itself as a good mulch. The other thing we're doing today that we use it for is collecting it for our compost bin. When you're collecting seaweed, one of the more important parts is not to take it directly from the rocks. When you take it from the rocks, it's still alive. So you really want to come onto the beach where it's being washed up by the storms, and you can collect it from there, or up at the rack line. If it's been a large storm, it will just all get washed up into one large area. So we're just going to collect as much of it as we can. We do it in buckets, which makes it nice and easy to transport, and then we'll be mixing it into our compost bin. And it's a great source of nitrogen, and it's also an amazing source of nutrients and minerals especially, because all your minerals, especially from the land, gets washed down into the ocean, and nature naturally allowed it to be pushed back up the rivers, basically through migration or through spawning of fish, which we don't really have as much anymore. So one of the ways we can add these awesome sea minerals back to our gardens is by composting it into our system and spreading it that way, or spreading it directly on the garden itself.
You don't need a truck to Homestead. Use what you have available to you. This old wagon has carried everything from building supplies, seaweed, baby goats, and pigs. Cleaning out the chicken coop is one of the dirtiest jobs on the homestead, but it does add a lot of great nutrients to our compost.
Now that we've got all of our seaweed collected and we're back on the homestead, it's time to start making compost. The two main things we use are leaves as our brown material, but you can pretty much use anything from newspaper, cardboard, and so forth. What brown material is really anything that's dry. It has a lower moisture content. Our main green ingredient is seaweed, And it's great because both of those materials are readily accessible here in Maine, but it's a great source of minerals like I had said before. The other thing we're going to be using is our bedding from our chicken coop. It was time to clean it out here in the spring, but it's very high in nitrogen as far as their manure, but it's also mixed with salt marsh hay and shavings, which are two good sources of brown material as well. The other thing we add to our compost bin is all of our kitchen scraps as well. We just take an empty compost bin and we just keep filling it until we're ready to make compost. The other things you can add for green material are any type of weeds from around your yard, anything from your garden when you're cleaning out at the end of the season. Those are great sources as well. So let's start laying it up and making compost. Knowing whether your compost is ready is usually pretty easy. It should look and smell like really good soil. Thank you for joining us on the Homestead today. And if this is something that you're interested in doing, growing your own food, becoming more connected with where your food comes from, just do it. Whether it's starting by going to a farmer's market and just speaking with a farmer about how they grow their food and how they raise it, to you growing it yourself. Just do it. Just get started. Start the process.